Okay, hello. So this is Seduce Me the Otome, which has been out for quite a while, but I remember really enjoying it in high school. So I'm gonna revisit it because I can. And don't mind the bells, that's just my cat playing with one of his toys. This is a fictional interactive narrative. Any character resemblance to real life people is purely coincidental. Also, the following game is made for PG-16 audiences. Please know that sexual and/or violent themes are explored in this game. Trigger warnings for abuse, implied rape, and suicide. You have been warned. Please enjoy.
Why, hello. My, aren't you a gorgeous sight? Can I be honored enough to know your name?
I totally forgot that this thing was completely voice acted, which I love. Okay, let me do the thing. Okay, how do I do this? There's no enter button. Oh, there it goes. Okay.
A lovely name for a lovely person like you. Wonderful.
I haven't played this in so long, I legit can't remember whose voice this is.
Eric, do your job.
Oh, okay. That answers that question.
Very well. This game was produced by Seraphim Entertainment under the direction of Michaela Laws and is powered by Ren'Py Visual Novel Engine. We truly hope you'll enjoy this story. I know I'll enjoy it, since you'll be in it.
Eric.
Fine. Farewell, my sweet.
Somewhere.
Come on! Is that all you got?
Wanna try me, asshole? Crap! Missed.
Let's retreat for now.
No kidding. Let's get out of here.
That's right. You better run, you stupid punks! Stay out of our territory!
Legit forgot the entire plot of this game. Call it fate or call it convenience. That one moment of violence started off a chain of events that I will never forget.
This formula, created in the 70s, is one of the most important in the field of financial theory. It is used to calculate the price of European-style options and is widely used by option marketers, though there are some discrepancies that are now corrected with the modern viewpoint.
Rain. It's been a long time since we've got rain around here. But it is April, so it's not exactly surprising. Personally, I love the sound of it. The way the raindrops fell, like soft tapping of fingers, it was so soothing. Even looking at the droplets hitting the glass of the window was strangely calming. For this reason, I felt lucky to have a seat next to the window. I spent more time staring outside than I did paying attention in class. The lectures in class were pretty boring. Mrs. Phillips' voice was passionate, but I wasn't interested in what she was saying. And since it was a period right before lunch, all I could think about was doing other things. Honestly, I didn't really care much for economics. Sure, I had good grades in this class, but it was only because I read the textbook and did my assignments on time. I was only taking this class because it was mandatory. If it were up to me, I would have taken another course. Luckily, it was my senior year, so after this semester, it would mean the end of high school courses forever. Thank God for that. I didn't hate high school. It was just mundane how the days drifted on as if there were no end to it. The only thing I really enjoyed about going to school was meeting my friends and hanging out with them. That was kind of it. In short, I was done with high school. The start of the second semester brought a note of finality to it. I had already applied for a few universities the semester prior, and I was expecting replies sometimes in the next few months. It seemed like the start of something that would change. I stared at the faint outline of raindrops in the distance. For now, I was stuck in class.
Miss Anderson.
Oh shit, we've been caught staring out the window. Mrs. Phillips' raised voice interrupted my train of thought. Just when I was thinking about class, I quickly turned my head to face the teacher. Hopefully she didn't pick me just because she noticed I was spacing out. Yes, ma'am?
Would you care to name the equation I set up on the blackboard?
Oh, I read about that one in the textbook last night. It should be the Black-Scholes model formula?
Very good as always, Miss Anderson.
Anderson. It followed me wherever I went. Most people didn't really know me by my first name, but rather my surname. No doubt, since the surname was the trademark of the internationally famous philanthropic Anderson Family Toys. The founder is my grandfather. Suzu, one of my best friends, turned around and proudly gave me a punch in the shoulder.
Kick ass, girl.
From beside me, I heard Naomi, another one of my best friends, clearing her throat in obvious disapproval of Suzu's choice of words.
She means good job.
Miss Capini,
Oi!
care to tell me who the creators of this formula were?
Hello, Suzu.
Some guys named Black and Scholes. Fisher Black and Myron Scholes.
Very good, Miss Patterson.
Show off. Better study next time, Suzu. Be like us and study once in a while.
Suzu rolled her eyes and slouched into her chair as Naomi gave her a small smirk. She always pouted when Naomi showed her up.
That's the end of today's lecture. Now, let's separate into groups and work on your projects. Remember, everything is due on Monday. Go ahead now.
God, I do not miss group projects. Before I knew it, Suzu and Naomi had scooted their desks to align with mine, and we turned into the Three Musketeers. Whenever the teacher let students decide on groups, we always grouped together in our little trio. It was sheer stroke of luck that we all managed to be in the same class, so we had to at least take the opportunity and stick together as much as we could. Besides, we were most comfortable around each other than around any other classmate. It just made sense for us to put our heads together for any kind of project. I took out the poster we were working on and rolled it open to the onto the three desks. We were pretty much finished with fulfilling most of the guidelines for the project, though we still did have a few finishing touches here and there. After working on making the poster a bit prettier, we sat back and inspected our work to see what we still had to do. Naomi, as usual, was the first to look for any issues. She lightly tapped the pencil against her chin, staring intently at the project.
Alright, so let's see. We finished the budgeting section, the building leasing, and the cost for labor. What else do we need?
Suzu straightened up to look at the poster and stroked her chin. After a few seconds, her face brightened as she spoke up.
Huh? Did we really skip over that?
Oh, did I click twice? Oops.
Of course we did! You always go straight into the logical statistics and stuff that you completely skip over the fact we need a name for our project.
At least we caught it this time. What do we name it?
Not sure. What do you think?
It always came down to me. Whenever there was something to be named or titled, I was the master and ending of the decision, even when I didn't want to be.
I like Trinity Corporations.
That is way too predictable. How about the Dragon Company?
Cat's going psycho in the background.
What do dragons have to do with our project?
What? It's a totally unpredictable name. It's hot.
But our company sells bubble gum.
Who said we can't produce spicy bubble gum?
What do you think?
Yeah. What do you think?
Both of them looked at me expectantly, even though I wasn't quite sure myself. I didn't really want to choose sides, but if it were up to me, I would say...
Booyah! Dragon Company it is!
Alright, now that we've decided on a name, now what?
Naomi just gave up so fast. As we ended our name game, a giggle scrambled my thoughts. Huh? Who was that?
Ignore it. It's just Lisette.
I looked over my shoulder to see Lizette laughing with her circle of friends, mostly comprised of popular girls. As a result, everyone in school knew them. In the center of it all was Lizette White. She sat with posture that indicated she was still working, but ready to casually chat about her day. She was an endearing balance of charismatic and awkward, which was readily apparent when she first talked to someone. It was easy to make her smile and laugh, and she was quite the comedian as well. Basically, she was perfect. Not that she was like a robot or anything, but she was the student that everyone else wanted to be. Lizette was bright, easygoing, and above all had her future laid out right in front of her. Unlike the average student, she knew what she was going to do after high school. As a result, she was confident and ambitious, though sometimes it could rub a lot of people the wrong way. Moreover, I had known her ever since I was young, but it had ultimately resulted in a rivalry that continued today. Of course, my friends knew what was between us. Upon seeing me glance at her, they shifted their attention to her.
She doesn't even look like she's working, in my opinion.
She probably is, but she's too much of a stuck-up priss to allow herself to look like she's actually doing work.
Oh, come on, Suzu. She may be a little off-putting, but she's not the giant priss that you're making her seem to be.
The day she isn't a priss is the day I turn into you.
What's that supposed to mean?
Never mind. It's about time! Let's bail!
Unsurprisingly, Suzu was the first out of the classroom, slinging her backpack over her shoulder with ease as she quickly strolled out the door.
Her seat isn't even closest to the exit, and she always manages to be the first one out of the door. I don't think I'll ever understand that.
Me and you both, Naomi. She gave me a smile, as if relieved by the fact that I felt the same way she did.
See? Why can't she just be normal like the two of us?
It's Suzu, Naomi. Think about it.
Very true.
Man, you guys are slow. Are you coming or what?
We heard you the first time. Not everyone has rocket boosters attached to their legs when the bell rings.
Are you kidding me? That class was ridiculously boring. Even Miss Valedictorian here was dozing off a bit.
I do have to admit I was spacing out. But just because I answered one question doesn't mean I'm automatically the valedictorian.
Okay, so it wasn't too interesting. But you should at least pay attention when Phillips is talking about the important parts.
So you finally admit it. We're finally on the same wavelength. Welcome to the club, Patterson.
Please, don't call me by my last name. This isn't the classroom. And never in a million years will we ever see things eye to eye.
If they argue this much, like, how are y'all friends? Despite this, they both burst into laughter. Normally, anyone would think that two people so opposite would never associate with each other. However, even though they were so different, their friendship somehow made a lot of sense. Maybe they were just perfect complements, or personalities just didn't dictate the possibility of their friendship. After all, we three have been best friends since preschool.
Alright, so where are we heading to first? Cafeteria? I think we can all agree that we're really hungry, especially after hearing about our company's line of deliciously spicy bubblegum.
Who would even buy that? I wonder.
Me? I would pay good money to get a taste of it.
You do like spicy food after all. We entered the cafeteria, a bustling room filled with the aromas of different kinds of food. As we got in line, we ordered our meals and chatted freely.
Cajun fries and the spicy chicken burger for me. That's my definition of a good meal.
I'll take a tuna sandwich and some juice. You're probably going to need water or something to curb all that spicy flavor, Suzu.
I can't be tamed by the likes of that. If it's spicy, then it's gotta be all or nothing.
You're crazy!
Hell yeah, I'm crazy.
I think I'm getting a migraine.
I think I'll go with... I like spicy food. Let's do spicy shit. Might as well go spicy today. Once we got our food, we settled down at one of the empty tables, putting our backpacks aside to finally dig into the food. Suzu leaned back in her chair, tilting it back so that she could rest her feet on the table by her food.
All right then. Is there anything we want to talk about?
Bored already?
I know. Let's talk about...
Say boys, and I will never speak to you ever again.
Aw, why not?
What's so interesting about talking about guys? Not like any of us are gonna get boyfriends anytime soon.
We don't know that. What if one of us does get a boyfriend?
Like that's going to happen, Naomi. Look at us. I'm a tiny Italian. You're a ditzy blonde.
Hey!
No offense. And Anderson here. Well, I guess she could land a boyfriend or girlfriend if she wants.
Or girlfriend?
She can be a lesbian if she wants.
True.
That's okay, Suzu. I'm not sure I want a boyfriend yet.
Why not? It's our senior year. Might as well get a boyfriend.
Why are we talking about boys like you could just pick one up at the mall or something?
Maybe she's just not interested in a relationship, Suzu.
Well, it wasn't really about wanting a relationship, but more of there was no one I was interested in having a relationship with. Don't get me wrong, I'm a very open person, but there weren't any interesting guys at school. Oh, weren't many interesting guys at school. Sorry. Who knows? Time will tell. Naomi looked at me, wanting to continue the conversation. However, before she could speak, the speakers in the cafe started up and an announcement echoed through the cafeteria.
Miss Anderson, please come to the main office immediately. Please bring your things with you.
Oh my.
Looks like our plans have been cut short. The men in white coats have finally come to get you.
Suzu, don't joke around. What if it's serious?
Fine. If something happens, just call us.
Something did happen. And it was certainly no laughing matter. Cold. It was really cold. The rain became heavier that afternoon, accompanied by rolling thunder. The skies had turned dark, though I couldn't see any of it under the black umbrella. I stared at the grass beneath my feet, unable to look up at the people weeping around me. All I could see was the damp grass underneath my feet. Only the monotone eulogies that floated through my ears reminded me that I was at a funeral. It was only when the speeches ended that I was finally able to raise my head. A small gathering of people, mostly made of relatives that I didn't even know, were huddled around a simple, small grave. For a while, all I heard was the sound of raindrops on umbrellas. If it were not for the rain, everything would have been in a heavy silence. I looked beside me, where my father was standing and holding a large black umbrella over our small family of 3. His face was emotionless, a strange sight next to my weeping mother. I wondered what was going through his mind. After all, etched into the smooth gray tombstone was his father's name. My grandfather, the one who raised me like his own daughter, had passed away that day. Slowly, people began to leave, until it was just my father, mother, and myself at the grave. A man dressed in a clean black suit under a uniform black umbrella of the funeral attendees walked towards us, introducing himself as grandfather's lawyer. He pulled out a few documents from his suitcase and began to read aloud.
And now, I shall read Harold Anderson's last will and testament.
Only my parents and I were allowed to be present for my grandfather's will. It was under a strict request of the lawyer, and there was a reason why.
And to my dearest granddaughter, I give my estate. All the furniture and decor that resides within the house shall also be given to my granddaughter.
What? I couldn't believe my ears. I had earned the family estate at 18. That was impossible, yet it was written in my own grandfather's hand.
He passed the family estate to her? Why am I not surprised?
Dear.
And why is he so fucking bitter about it? Relax.
Well, did he say anything about what will become of the CEO and chairman position of the Anderson Toys Company?
And there it is. It's a money thing.
No. It is presumed that the vice chairman will succeed the position.
Even to the bitter end, he wouldn't give in. What a stubborn old man.
Shaking his head, my father turned to face my mother with a serious expression on his face.
About the estate. Should we send her there to get used to the building? It'll be a good place for her to live after high school.
But wow, just getting rid of me immediately.
Are you sure we should?
Why not? This would be a good experience for her.
Honey, what do you think?
I really wasn't sure what to say. Why did grandfather think that I was the appropriate heir to the mansion? Was I even ready to live on my own?
Well, that seems to be it. We'll be taking our leave now. I'm sure the little heiress needs some time to adjust.
Oh my god, what an asshole.
David!
Even though she raised her voice, my dad wordlessly began walking back to the car, disinterested.
Don't mind him, honey. I think that your grandfather's passing really affected him. Why don't we get back home for now?
You can go on ahead to the car, Mom. I think I need some time alone with Grandpa.
Oh, of course. Take all the time you need.
Stop digging at the side of the tub like you weren't the one who jumped in it. You can get out, Frumpkin. Again, my cat. He's being weird. She gave me a quick hug and hurried after my dad. I looked around the funeral grounds, which was completely empty, save for the sullen-looking grave that laid in front of me. I'm sure that if Grandpa were in charge of arranging all of this, it would have been much different. It was blatantly obvious that my dad was in charge of the whole event. Who else would bury their own family the same day they passed away? Everyone knew my grandfather's love for toys, yet the grave was a mere stone slab on the ground, void of any warmth. My dad didn't even bother putting flowers. His disdain for my grandfather was almost pitiful. Sorry, Grandpa. I tried to force out some words, but the only thing that came out was a choked sob. You told me to stay strong, but right now I'm the farthest from it. I just want to go back to before. Grandpa! I'm assuming... I will attempt it.
Oh, it's so good to see you again, sweetie.
I was swept into a giant bear hug, and we both laughed as he swung me around like an airplane. It was one of my favorite things about seeing my grandfather, the way he greeted me. Unlike my father, my grandfather was loving and playful, even as I grew older. I'm sorry that Daddy couldn't be here today. He said he wasn't feeling too good again. It was always like that. Dad missed every single visit to Grandpa's house, citing that he was busy with work or wasn't feeling well.
Is that so? Well, that's okay. Daddy can come around next time. And you're here, right?
Yep. So what are we doing today, Grandpa? Mommy says that there's a new dessert cafe open in town. Maybe we could go?
Oh, I would love to. But I've been so busy with the company these days. We're actually working on a little something. Would you like to see?
Yes. Ooh, is that a toy?
It is. I was designing a new line of them, but I feel like something's missing. You don't think you could help me out, could you?
Of course. He placed the toy in my hands with a smile, and I inspected it very carefully. It was beautifully crafted, and obviously a lot of work was put into it. There was one thing, though.
So, what do you think?
I think the heart in its chest should light up when you hug it. It'll be like it's alive, and it can be a nightlight before you sleep. He stroked his chin, considering my input, while nodding his head. After a few moments of silent deliberation, he turned to me with a chuckle.
That's a great idea! I'll get to changing it right away. You're always like my little lucky charm, dear. You always know what to add to make the perfect toy.
Well, I hope I can be like you one day, Grandpa.
You want to make toys as well?
Well, making people happy is the best feeling in the world. I don't know if I want to make toys when I grow up, though.
Don't worry too much about it. You have plenty of time to decide. Besides, you should do what makes you happy as well.
That makes sense. Daddy doesn't think of it the same way, though.
Your father. I'm sure he just wants the best for you.
I'm not sure about that.
Sweetie, look at me.
He bent down to look at me eye level with a serious look on his face.
As much as your father may say something that doesn't make sense now, you must remember that he's always thinking about you. He loves you. There's no doubt about that. and you need to love him just as equally.
I don't hate Daddy. I really do love him. I don't know why he's like this, though.
Your father and I have had some difficulties with each other in the past, but it's nothing that you should be concerned about.
I had heard tidbits of this from my mother and various other people. Only people who had stayed quiet were my father and my grandfather. Both of them refrained from saying a word on the subject matter. But it was clear that whatever happened set up a wall between them. It's hard, though, trying to pretend as if nothing were wrong.
However, no matter what, you have to stay strong. You're a big girl already, and, well, there'll come a day when it seems like it's you against the world. But always remember that your family and friends will be here with you. Daddy, Mommy, your friends at school, me. We'll stand together to get through it.
How can you be so sure of that?
Because we'll be right here and here.
He pointed his finger at my head first and then pointed at my chest.
So stay strong. Promise?
For a moment, he looked almost sad, pleading. But as quickly as it had come, the expression disappeared from his face and he was all smiles once again. Promise. Upon hearing that, Grandpa let out a great burst of laughter and stood up.
All right then. Enough of that. How about I whip up some special homemade dessert? I know I can't accompany you at that new cafe, but we sure can talk and eat while I cook and do some paperwork.
Homemade dessert. I'll race you to the kitchen.
Hey, slow down there. I'm not what I used to be.
You build me the very home I love to see you in. Why? Why would you think I'd be ready to take it, especially after this? A surge of anger bubbled within me, but I quickly swallowed it. There was no use in getting mad, especially when the person in question was no longer there. I'm sorry. It's hard to stay calm when you've left me with so many questions, especially about what happened between you and Dad. What am I doing? Talking to a grave. My vision blurred and I suddenly realized that I was crying. My face heated up as tears rolled down my cheeks. I'll bring you flowers later. I miss you, Grandpa. I'll try my best to fulfill my promise that I gave to you, even if the world might be turned against me. I left the grave, wiping my tear hastily so my parents wouldn't see.
Well, it's time to head back home. I'll cook up your favorite lasagna when we get home, okay?
Thanks, Mom. However, my dad didn't speak the entire drive. I wanted to talk to him, but after his moment at the funeral, I wasn't sure if it was a good idea.
It's about time we took off those dreary black clothes.
Bitch, you were just at your father's funeral. Gathering my courage, I decided then that it was time to talk. Dad, could I ask you something?
Go ahead.
Why did you want me to move into the estate so soon?
I thought I made that rather clear. The college near your grandfather's house is well known for its business program. You are planning to major in business, yes? Right after you graduate from high school, you'll just live there and can easily commute to and from school. It's a perfect fit for you.
But it's so sudden. You just decided so quickly right after the funeral.
Don't be so sensitive. If you're like that in the real world, you'll be crushed.
I'm just saying that maybe we could talk a bit more about my future. In reply, my father rubbed his temples and sighed quietly.
After you graduate from college, you'll work at Anderson Family Toys. I have connections since I am part of the board of directors, so you will be guaranteed a spot. That is what we talked about before, yes?
But what if...
Stop mumbling!
But what if I don't want to work there?
Don't be silly. It's the family company. Our company. I'm not just going to hand it over to some incompetent vice chairman.
He came closer to me and his face softened.
Look, this is all for the best, okay? You may not know it right now, but you will appreciate it later.
For some reason, when I heard him say that, something snapped in me. I wasn't exactly sure what it was, but it made me feel so angry. Do you even care that Grandfather passed away?
Of course I do.
Well, everything seems fine and dandy to you. Things couldn't be better.
Excuse me? I don't like your tone, young lady.
It's like nothing even happened at all. Like you just ignored the fact that he's no longer here.
Do not raise your voice at me.
What did he ever do to you to deserve this? My father, his face hardened, he crossed his arms and erupted into angry laughter.
Ha! You sure place him upon a pedestal, like he's some kind of venerated god or something. It makes me sick.
Is that it? Are you happy seeing grandfather dead? While everyone was grieving, you were holding yourself back from laughing in everyone's faces. Did you feel just a bit happier seeing him live in the graveyard? Oh shit. A flash of rage comes across his face and he whipped the back of his hand across my cheek.
You don't know anything! Running your mouth like somehow you know everything that went on, when you're just a little girl that doesn't know how to keep her mouth shut!
And abusive father, yeah.
You did not know my father! You did not know what he was capable of!
Is everything all right? What happened?
Nothing. I'm not hungry. I think I'll just go to my room.
Honey, wait!
I quickly turned and ran up the stairs to my room, slamming the door behind me. My breath came in short pants, and for a while I just leaned against the door to my bedroom, eventually sliding down against it. How did things become like this? My cheeks still throbbed, and I tentatively stood up to look in the mirror to see how it looked. Hopefully it doesn't bruise. What am I saying? Tears formed at the corners of my eyes, but I blinked them back rapidly. I couldn't cry twice in the same day. I had to be stronger than that.
Are you all right? Your father told me nothing happened, but you know your father.
I'm fine. I just lost my appetite.
The lasagna's done, though, and I don't want you skipping any meals. Are you sure?
Yeah, don't worry about me, Mom. I'll come downstairs later to eat.
You're not telling me the whole story.
No. I just don't want to eat right now.
Please, dear. Tell me what's going on. I wish you would tell me why you're being like this.
But why I'm being like this? Your husband just smacked me across the face. I wanted to tell her. A part of me was screaming to tell her what Dad had done. At the same time, I knew she couldn't fix anything. Besides, I was moving out regardless. I remained silent, letting the event remain in the past.
Well, I'll leave your food on the table if you want to eat it later.
See, Mom is so sweet, and Dad has just been like an asshole this entire time. Finally, my mom left me alone. It was strange to think that she was only a few inches away from me, only separated by a single wooden door. I really didn't know what to do. I needed to do something, anything, to get my mind off of what's happened. Anything would be better than thinking any more about the pain that still radiated from my cheek. I was going to move into my grandfather's house tomorrow. I should probably pack my stuff so I'd be prepared for tomorrow. Yeah, that was a good idea. I should start packing. I opened the closet, rummaging around for a while before I finally find 2 large bags, pulling them out onto the floor of my room. Then I began to empty my drawers and cabinets so that I could bring all my things with me. I didn't have much to bring, other than just some clothes and toiletries. It was kind of bizarre that I didn't have many personal belongings. It wasn't like my luggage was completely devoid of them. I certainly didn't have many things in my room that I would miss if I left, though. I shook my head to rid myself of these thoughts. If I was going to my new home, it would have to feel like it. One way or another, I was going to make it into a home. Just as I was packing my things, my cell phone began ringing and vibrating in my pocket. I slid my phone out of my pocket and answered it while settling myself onto bed. Who could possibly be calling?
Hey, Anderson, you there? Is everything all right? We were worried about you, so we decided to call. Hello?
I'm really glad you guys called. My voice managed to come out, though only as a whisper.
What happened? Are you okay?
Well, I slowly began to tell them about the funeral that afternoon. A small silence followed when I spoke up recounting what happened, and to my relief, Naomi finally spoke up.
I can't begin to imagine how you must be feeling right now. I'm so sorry. Do you want us to come over right now?
No, it's okay. My dad isn't in a good mood, so can we just keep talking on the phone like this?
Of course! We'd stay on the phone until the crack of dawn. Right, Suzu?
Yeah. We're always here if you need us. After all, we wouldn't be the awesome triple threat trio without you, right?
Yeah.
Triple threat trio? That sounds like the name of a gang.
Yeah! I mean, we're all taking on the world together. We've got to sound somewhat scary, or else no one's going to take us seriously.
What's with you and naming things?
You've got to step up your game, Naomi. Falling behind the cool kids like Anderson and me. Tisk, tisk.
Hey! I'm a cool kid. If anything, I'd say you'd have to step up your game.
We chatted cheerfully about all sorts of things. Very soon I'd forgotten about the event. Frumpkin. He keeps knocking things off of the table because he's an asshole. I'd forgotten about the events that was engaged in the conversation about Naomi's favorite TV show. Some program called Thurlock. We all get... Frumpkin! Oh my god. We all agree that the actor playing the titular character certainly had a very distinctive look about him. What with the long overcoat and the scarf wrapped around his neck. We had many disagreements about who we thought was the coolest character. Yeah, he's really high cheekbones and his eyes are pretty. Though I do say I prefer Jatson. And here we see slightly changing names to avoid copyright. And as a bonus, his actor is just so sassy. I looked at the clock hanging on the wall and realized how late it was. Whoa, it's already 1 a.m.? Sorry for keeping you guys up for so late. I think I'm gonna hit the hay for the night. See you guys at school tomorrow. I should probably shower and go to bed. I can't believe I stayed up this late just to talk to my friends. But it was really nice. Well, to the bathroom I go. I took a relaxing shower. Nothing beats hot water and the feeling of being clean. After drying myself, I promptly dressed in my pajamas and crawled into bed. A nice hot shower after a long day. I'm so glad to finally be in bed. It had been a really long day. I knew that I was wishing for something to change back in class, but I certainly wasn't expecting any of the things that happened today. And I have to go back to school tomorrow. Ugh. I curled up on my side and tightly wrapped the blankets around me. I really wasn't in the mood to be returning to school, but my dad had probably would make me go just for the sake of it. It's time to go to sleep. I reached out to the lamp on my nightstand and turned off the lights. However, my mind was so lost in the passing of my grandfather that the thought of inheriting something so big that it haunted my mind the entire night until the next morning. I shook my head to try and clear the sleepiness out of me, to no avail. I really didn't get any sleep last night. Is there any time to wake up? Wait, school. As soon as I realized I had to go to school, I slid out of bed to look at the vanity mirror. That's a relief. Luckily, there was barely a bruise on my cheek. I had to squint to actually see it. I doubt anyone would actually notice unless they looked really close. Breathing out a sigh, I got dressed, took my backpack, and caught the bus to go to school. It wasn't even hours before everyone heard the news. I was approached at school and given condolences for my loss. However, that wasn't what shocked my friends.
Wait, so you have the whole Anderson house to yourself? Lucky as hell, man! Quit being so sensitive, Naomi.
Quit being so vulgar, Suzu.
I'm gonna agree with Naomi because, Suzu, what the fuck, my grandpa just died.
Oh, man, come on!
See, she knows about proper public taste.
I know how to be a lady. Sheesh.
Guys, I'm going there after school today because my parents want me to get used to living there.
Seriously? It hasn't even been a day since you came back to school.
I know, but my parents want me to try living there as soon as possible.
Still, that's really fast. Are you going to be okay?
Of course. But even as the comfort of my best friends, life seemed to keep testing me. Oh.
Hey! Don't go around shoving people like that. Whoops. Did I strike a nerve, Capini?
She let out a small laugh as she twirled her hair around her finger. Lizette, one of the last people I wanted to see today.
It's not me you should be apologizing to. Oh, Anderson. Hey, how's it going?
I'm alright.
Haven't you already heard, Lizette?
Of what?
Her grandfather's passing.
Well, I'm sorry about that. I don't really watch a lot of news. It doesn't really sound like you mean it. I do mean it. Earnestly. Why wouldn't I?
Typical Capini. Isn't her family involved with the mafia or something? I wouldn't be surprised if she brought out a bat from behind her back right this moment.
Bitch the fuck? I had nearly forgotten about the crowd that followed Lizette, which was mostly comprised of people that no one wanted to see on a typical school day. No one had the slightest idea why exactly they followed Lizette around so much, but they labeled themselves as social equals to her.
That is out of line. Suzu comes from an honest family.
Says the one whose family profits from political scandals.
Yeah, your dad doesn't make anything unless he's in the court with dirty politicians.
But why are y'all so mean? Like, just mind your fucking business.
Hey, let's all calm down for a second, all right? I'm sure Anderson needs some time to recuperate. I mean, what just happened? We need to give her some respect.
That's, like, oddly decent. I'm suspicious. Just stop. Stop acting like that already. Like you feel sorry for me.
What are you talking about?
I'm sure you're happy seeing me like this. You already have everything you've wanted. Now seeing me like this, life couldn't get any better. Bitterness seeped into me. The words started flying out of my mouth without a filter. But honestly, I didn't care. I was so consumed by anger that I only saw Lizette in front of me. What exactly am I to you? Just another part of your obstacle course? Is that what I am? I'm sick of it, Lizette. I'm sick of all of these charades, and I'm sick of you. Gasps rose from the crowd around her, and I was brought back to the school hallway. Even my friends looked at me in surprise. One girl looked like she was going to speak up, but Lizette held up her hand to stop her. There was emotion in her face that I couldn't quite make out, but I could see a form of pity in her eyes. No, don't you dare pity me. I look away from her. I didn't want to see that emotion in her eyes when she was talking to me. She didn't have a right to look at me that way.
I'm sorry. I know your grandfather passing away must have really taken a toll on your emotions.
She stepped towards me and put her hand on my shoulder, giving me a tiny smile, as if for old time's sake. But for some reason, I didn't feel comforted at all. Not that I was just angry at her, but her expression on her face when she leans close, contorted into something complex. Something different was different about her. I couldn't quite place my finger on it, but there was something about her that had definitely changed.
Well, I'll be going for now. Track meet responsibilities and all of that stuff. See you later.
Something about Lizette made me feel uncomfortable. I wasn't just angry, but also uneasy. What was that? I had never seen her act like that before. But I decided to pay no further attention to it. She continued running down the hallway with her gaggle of friends behind her. I refocused my attention onto Mrs. Phillips, who was walking down the hall towards me.
Is everything all right, girls?
Nothing we couldn't handle, Mrs. P. Just a bunch of snobs.
Suzu, hush! It was nothing, Mrs. Phillips.
I see. Well, Miss Anderson, please accept my condolences for your loss.
Thank you, Mrs. Phillips.
Your grandfather was a good man. He really upheld the philanthropy of his company's policies, And the money that went towards charity, too.
I know. He was amazing. I really looked up to him, and I want to be as good as he was.
Well, I know that you'll be as great as your grandfather.
Hell yeah, she will. She'll be 10 times better than her grandfather.
Would I? Would I really be better than my grandfather? Everyone seemed to have high expectations for me. I wanted to do my best to make my family proud, but to be better than my grandfather? I wasn't sure about that. From outside the school window, I saw a familiar blue car pull up to the curb. Undoubtedly, it was my father in the driver's seat. Oh, my ride's here. I guess I'll see you both tomorrow.
Want us to come with you?
Oh, no, it's okay. I'll be fine. See you. Hey, Dad.
Hey, honey.
Don't you hey, honey, me. You fucking hit me the other day. As I got into the car, I noticed my father looked troubled, clutching at the steering wheel and staring straight ahead, as if something was really bothering him.
About what happened yesterday. I'm sorry for yelling at you. Does your cheek still hurt?
No, it's nothing to worry about.
I mean it. I shouldn't have laid a finger on you. You know that you're my most precious daughter. You're all that I have.
Yet he couldn't bring himself to say whatever he wanted. I can't read. Yet he couldn't bring himself to say what he could never say to me for such a long time. I always wanted to hear those words to affirm how he really felt, but I guess even now he couldn't say it to me. Wow, your dad doesn't even say I love you? Okay. I turned my head away to look out the window. There was no point in waiting for something that would never come. And like that, he began to drive, and the conversation between us ended. I decided to focus my attention on the passing scenery. We were taking the usual route to my grandfather's house. It was located within the vicinity of the school district, but it was pretty far out from the school and from where our house was. He had always lived alone. He insisted on doing things by himself, even at his age, living in such a large house. I wondered, did he pass away with no one at his side as well? It sounded so lonely and sad. It was strange that he decided on living all alone in his large estate. If anything, he could have lived with us. Though he and my father probably would have given each other silent treatment the entire time, maybe living alone was preferable to that. I actually hadn't visited him in quite a while. Visits to his house were most frequent when I was a child, and I had grown up a long time since then. Last time I visited, though, I thought he looked just as happy as he usually was, happy and healthy. But things change. In the back of my mind, I knew that he would have to leave one day. It wasn't like humans could live forever. The car ride was mostly spent in silence until he spoke up again.
How was school? Maintaining your grades, I hope.
Yeah, I've been trying my best so far.
Trying? That's not really doing the best you can, is it?
Bitch. With my father, only some words I said were filtered through his ears. It was difficult to keep up a conversation without it eventually going to academics or my future, and even if it was loosely based on it. He always found some way to integrate it whenever we talked.
Anyway, your belongings are in the trunk. There isn't a lot, so I'm sure you can manage bringing them inside the house. After all, you are on the road to being independent now.
Yeah, I can manage on my own. The silence resumed between us. I really wasn't sure what to say around him, especially when most of the time he didn't hold the same opinion as me. One question did linger in my mind, though. If he was going to justify acting so nonchalant at grandfather's funeral, I at least had the right to know why. Nope. There was no use talking to him about this. It would be like reopening a wound, or reapplying a bruise. I sighed, and he gave me a side glance out of curiosity, but didn't pursue it further. Typical. I leaned against the car door and stared out the window. I really couldn't think. What would this place be like? I had been to my grandfather's house often, but it was one thing visiting and it was another actually living there. How could I manage living on my own without any training to be a homeowner? You have to train to be a homeowner? Like, taking care of yourself is decently easy. Most of the time. I knew naturally the bills would be paid by my parents, who inherited grandfather's stocks to the corporation, but I had never lived independently before. Thinking about it made me feel some kind of bird being pushed out of the nest. Though I was technically an adult, I felt unprepared and a bit daunted at the prospect of actually moving to a new place. Most people my age would be ecstatic moving out. After all, it would symbolize some kind of change in their lives, like being on the road to independence. But I felt like it was nothing of the sort. I really hoped I wouldn't let my parents down. I wouldn't want to let my grandfather down. What would he be saying right now? I gazed up at the passing clouds in the sky. If you're out there, grandfather, how would you be doing? Would there be anything you'd want to tell me at this moment? And of course, no answer. What was I doing? Searching for an answer in a heaven that would or would not exist. I ducked my head to stare at the blur of trees and cars from the window. My head was definitely going in the clouds at that moment. Either way, I found myself being driven off to my new home. The car rolled to a stop, and I drifted out of my thoughts.
Here we are. Go on in.
All right, tell Mom I love her.
All right.
I love you, Dad. Bitch, say I love you back. Oh my God. No, make sure to come by and visit often. No, I'm going to miss you lots. Nothing but a blank stare. I paused a bit before reaching for the car door handle, waiting for any form of goodbye, but he didn't speak again. I sighed and exited the car, hearing my dad open the trunk. The bags I packed last night were large enough to carry only the things that I needed. I took them out and placed one bag on each shoulder and closed the trunk. Then he drove off, leaving me alone in front of the mansion. I watched the blue car fade into the distance of the road before turning to see my new home. There it is. It's huge. My grandfather gave me this. It's hard to believe. The house was framed by tall gates, and I hesitantly pushed them aside to take in the entire estate. The house still looked like it was when I visited him. At a glance, it seemed kind of intimidating by its size. Though if I came closer, it was clear that there was more of it to that. The brick walls were framed by shrubbery and lovely flowers, giving it a homey and welcoming look, in contrast to the tall doors of the house that gave me a feeling of grandeur. Who knew what was waiting for me? But I wouldn't back down at this point. I took out my key to the front doors and unlocked them. Might as well make myself at home. I'll be staying here for quite a while anyways. That's when I saw them. Lying on the floor was a group of men. They were all unconscious. There was no explanation as to why they were there in the first place. I dropped my bags as I let the door close on its own behind me. This is the point where you usually call the fucking cops. Who the heck are these guys? Why are they here? What's going on? Some of them had open wounds, blood was staining the floor, and the scent was intermingling with the air. I couldn't help but feel bad for them instinctively, but I was still shocked and a bit angry at the sudden intrusion. My mind suddenly went from carrying a concern to confused and demanding answers. Who are you people? No response. I'll call the police. Still nothing. None of them seem to be awake. It seems surreal to have random strangers in the house that I just moved into, but I wanted answers quickly. That wasn't until... Get away from me!
Woman, you're going to let me kiss you.
Bitch, the fuck? I couldn't believe it. Within a mere blink of an eye, one of the men lying on the floor had gotten right up in my face. And even more is that I felt serene and calm about it. Slowly, desire burned in my chest, telling me to accept his kiss even when my mind vehemently refused. Go ahead?
Good.
No. As he kissed me, I could feel my body go weak. I didn't know why, but that kiss was draining me of energy, and yet it was so good it made my heart sing. It was strange and tingling, and the feeling that danced over every nerve of my body. I could feel streams of intangible energy run through my veins and into my lips. It felt odd, but at the same time it felt amazing.
Sam, stop it.
The person kissing me, Sam was his name, glanced behind him.
I said stop. Now.
Fine.
Finally, he pulled back and I was left standing there in a daze. Huh? I couldn't tell what was going on. My mind was completely enwrapped in the kiss and had melted into the depths of my forgotten memories.
Please forgive my brother. He's a bit reckless.
And there would be James. I remember, I think his name is James, this one being like my favorite route. I don't know why.
At least I feel a hell of a lot better than you right now.
Because you used your abilities on her.
Sam, you're such a reckless brute. Taking advantage of a beautiful young woman like her.
Shut that pretty boy mouth of yours before I rip it off your pretty boy face.
Sheesh, you guys. Can we not fight right now? Not all of us are in the best state.
I guess you are right, Matthew.
I agree.
However, as the men got up and started to chat freely, my thoughts began to reassemble, and I remembered my confusion and anger once more. Only now it was multiplied tenfold. What?
Huh? Did you say something beautiful?
And I exploded. What is going on? Why the hell are you in my house? Why are you all bleeding? You kissed me. Who are you? I couldn't help exploding, but after being taken advantage of and being left in such a mush state, my words escaped without a filter, and it definitely scared the men around me, even the guy who kissed me. Wait a second. The guy who kissed me.
Ouch! What's your problem?
What's your problem? You can't go around forcing people to kiss you like that. Are you some kind of pervert?
Pervert? It was only a kiss!
It might mean nothing to you, but it meant a lot to me.
What? Was it your first kiss? Ow! Hey! What was that for?
But you know what it was for. I know first kisses aren't exactly amazing and full of sparkles like that of a fairy tale, but I at least expected it to be more than just something that was forced on me.
So it was your first kiss. Stop making such a big deal out of it.
What a dick. Are you asking to get punched again?
Well, what do you want me to do? It's not like I can somehow take it back.
Bitch, apologize. You should at least apologize, that would suffice. As if to himself, he muttered something under his breath.
Why do I always look like the bad guy? Apologies aren't my forte, but I'll try my best. Okay, fine. I'm sorry.
Sorry about what?
I'm sorry for kissing you like that. I went too far.
He sighed and ran his fingers through his hair.
I didn't mean for it to turn out that way. It's just, I act on impulse, okay? It's difficult to control myself and... What am I saying?
It's okay. I get what you're trying to say. Thank you for the apology.
Yeah, no problem.
Anyway, if you try to pull any of that funny business in the future, just fair warning, I know Taekwondo. I think I've bickered enough. Time to get back to the main issue. So, what exactly are all of you doing in my house?
Miss, please forgive us in our intrusion. We didn't know this abode belonged to anyone, nor did we have the time to take that into consideration.
What do you mean? You can't just barge into people's homes.
We wouldn't have had to if we weren't as wounded as we are currently. We just escaped from a deadly fight that could have ended our lives. Luckily for us, your home was near, the windows were unlocked, so we quickly came inside.
So you broke in. Last I remembered, there were laws preventing strangers from stepping on private property, although considering the severity of their wounds, it had to be serious. I guess that explains the wounds, but not why he kissed me. He had absolutely no right to do that.
Well, lovely flustered lady, it's hard to explain, truly. We're not exactly normal.
No shit. Not normal? What are you guys, demons or something? I was joking, but the boys seemed to take my question differently.
Well, yeah, actually, something like that.
We're incubi, miss. Demons who consume and use sexual energy of humans to survive.
Incubi. Demons that haunt humans and make them sex-crazed monsters. The mythical beings that look like anyone just to get into your pants, the imaginary monsters you saw in movies or on TV.
Hello? Did you hear him?
We're telling the truth.
Do you think she's still processing it?
Yes, and she'll understand right about...
Right. That was funny while it lasted, but time to cut the joke short. Incubuses don't exist. There's no way they actually exist. That would be practically impossible.
Ahem. Incubi is the correct plural form.
Bitch,
and
don't
yes,
correct me.
we do exist.
Prove it. As soon as the words left my mouth, I instantly regretted them.
Very well. Eric, go ahead.
Very well. My sweet, you're so tempting with such non-belief. Let me ease your mind with a tender kiss. I promise you'll enjoy every minute of it. And maybe you'll even want more.
What? Once again, I was lost in a pool of calm serenity. Staring into Eric's eyes, I felt waves of heat course through my chest and onto my face, painting my cheeks red in their wake. I couldn't help but nod and agree to his offer. Yeah, okay. With another kiss, my heart began to burn once again in my chest, and I could feel my body... My mind was sent spinning into heated, passion-filled pleasure. Once again, I could feel my body drain of energy as he kissed me.
All right, that's enough.
Aw, very well. I feel so much better.
As he pulled away, I was left in mental mush pool, and I felt weak in the knees. Despite my will demanding me to stand straight in front of the boys, the world around me began to spin as I speak. I think I'm going to...
Ah, where are our manners? I'm James, and these are my brothers. Sam, Eric, Matthew,
Bitch
and Damien.
just said that she's, like, about to faint.
Miss, are you okay?
No, she was not okay.
Shit. She fainted.
And I think that is where I'm gonna leave that for today. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed and all that good stuff.